Welcome to Summit Talk. This is Ethan, your host, and man, I'm really excited about. I'm excited about what we're talking about today. I've been looking forward to sharing about this because it's something that I think matters quite a bit. Today, I want to talk about gratitude with you, and it's something that's talked about, I think, pretty frequently. Man, I work half, as a k- kind of in sales, and then the other half of my career is as a performance coach. And so I know that gratitude is something that I talk about pretty frequently, just because of all the benefits that it has for you. Being able to being able to be grateful for what you have, I think protects you against a lot of things, and that's what I'm going to talk about today here. So I want to open this with a couple thoughts that I had. And first, I want to preface this by saying gratitude is not pretending that your life is perfect. It's becoming disciplined enough to recognize the things that are good while still improving the things that are not. Right? You can be deeply grateful for your life and still be hungry for more. Like that is possible. It's not like you have to choose one or the other. You can have both and. Okay? So, when you look at your life, the question I want to ask you is, what have you been trained, or let me rephrase this, what have you trained yourself to notice? Most people fall into a trap of accomplishing something that you desperately wanted. Like you get the promotion, you get the house, you know, maybe you get the car, your dream car, or maybe now you're in a relationship and you're really hunting a relationship or a degree or whatever it is for you. You accomplished something you once desperately wanted, you dreamt about it and prayed for it, and then as soon as you get it, you almost immediately moved the goalpost and you moved on to the next. You know, like that house you prayed for, all of a sudden becomes the house with problems. The job becomes, well, now it's the job you complain about. uh, the relationship that you were really longing for, all of a sudden becomes the person whose flaws you notice, or the opportunity, that job, the career that you fought for, blood, sweat, and tears, you fought for it. All of a sudden now it's like an obligation. It's maybe it's taking away from you in some way. Here's the core point on this is our minds are incredibly good, like really good at turning blessings into background noise. Like when you look at the amazing things that God has done for you and the awesome things that you've been able to experience, man, how often are you reflecting on those things? So, like Jordan Peterson in his book, 12 Rules for Life, he says, this is a quote: "It took untold generations to get you where you are. A little gratitude might be in order." Now, ask yourself this: how much of what I complain about today is something an earlier version of me would have begged God for? This reminds me of something, man. I think I was 6 years old, and I so distinctly remember when my PlayStation 2 kicked the can, because it had to eventually, and I was in the middle of playing a King Kong video game. And, at 6 or at 7 years old, I had all the faith in the world that God wanted me to continue playing my PlayStation 2 and playing King Kong. And I remember getting on my knees, bowing before the TV. Yikes. But bowing before the TV, asking God, I think I asked him 10 times, "God, please, if you love me, you will fix my PlayStation." It's crazy. And now here we are today. I have a PlayStation 5. It's a stupid example, but man, but seriously, but like in all seriousness, how much of what you complain about today is something that you prayed for once? Like if you've got kids and you're struggling with the children, like Okay, so maybe you never prayed for the kids, but imagine someone who is praying for kids. How much they long to go through the crap that you're dealing with. You know what I mean? Like when your kids are fussy or when they so I have a 3-year-old and she throws these super emotional tantrums. And it's adorable and frustrating and you want to rip your hair out and give her everything at the same time. It's a beautiful beautiful thing. But seriously though, like ask yourself like what are you complaining about today that you once or that maybe you or someone else has begged God for? And you're here you are taking it for granted. So here's the thing, like gratitude, I told you this before. This is important. Gratitude changes your perspective. It changes the lens through which you see the world around you. You know immediately when you talk to someone, their attitude. If they are ungrateful or if they are incredibly grateful, right? So think about it like this. Two people can have almost identical lives and experience those lives completely differently because of what they habitually notice. Imagine a picture. Imagine there's a young girl, let's call her 8 years old, and she's got her hair done and she's wearing this dress, right? And she has a twin sister who also, dressed the same. And the first sister is jogging through the field. She's skipping, she's dancing, she's singing merrily. She's looking around at all the flowers. Wow, look at all these beautiful, beautiful dandelions. What a beautiful day. God, thank you for today. And then imagine the other sister walking through the same field saying, ugh, they could have at least cut the grass. Look at all these dandelions growing everywhere, all these weeds growing up. Clearly, they didn't take care of this place. What a terrible, terrible place, right? There's two completely different perspectives. And this is important because you can train yourself to constantly scan for what went wrong, what somebody else has, what you haven't accomplished yet, who disappointed you, and like what you still need to get. Or, you can be the first sister and you can see what is working. You can notice the dandelions as a beautiful flower. You can see who showed up for you, how far you've come, how much you've grown, what you've been given, and what opportunity still exists for you. But that doesn't mean ignoring problems. Gratitude doesn't change all of your circumstances. It changes which circumstances get the microphone, right? Like, if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, then you can also be in a good mood for no reason. So it's all about what you decide to pay attention to here. So another, thing with Jordan Peterson and his 12 rules for life. Rule number 4 here is literally compare yourself to who you were yesterday rather than measuring your life against someone else's today. Right? Like only you know where you came from and how much you've grown and how much you've changed. You can't compare your progress against someone else. You've no idea the things that they've gone through. And it's prideful for you to think that you do know. It's not fair to yourself and it's not fair to them either. So think about this. Like, would I actually be happier if I had more? Like, would you actually be happier if you had more money, if you had more friends, if you had more cars, if you had more square feet in your house, if you had a bigger yard, if you had, um, I don't know, like a better credit score? Or are you failing to appreciate what you already have? Right? Like, and then we could talk about the comparison in social media. Like someone is always going to have more money, like a better body, a nicer house, more followers, a better career, larger business. Like someone's always going to have more than you. And that's okay. Like there is one Elon Musk. If your definition of enough is just more than somebody else or more than everybody else, like you're never going to get there. You will never arrive. All right, so let's touch on gratitude, stress, and anxiety here. A separate gratitude writing study found reductions in perceived stress, and other research has connected gratitude with more positive thoughts before bed and in turn better subjective sleep quality. So there's actual science to back some of this stuff up. So here's a good way to think about it. Anxiety asks, what could go wrong? Gratitude asks, what is going right? It's really the difference between a positive mindset and a negative mindset, isn't it? These questions cause you to direct your attention differently. Gratitude does not mean that nothing bad is happening. Remember, it's not the absence of tough circumstances. It's more that something bad can be happening without everything being bad. Do you know what I mean? That's a really important distinction. It's the difference between, coming home at the end of the day, going to your wife and saying, another tough day, or another bad day, another tough one, toughie. I need to sit on the couch. It's the difference between that and getting home from work and telling your wife, hey, had some tough stuff happen today, but the night's still young. Let's see what happens. Let's do something fun for dinner. I don't know, but so it's not just Ethan saying this, right? I'm going to pull up an author here that you're going to be furious with, but it's David Goggins. And some of y'all just turned off the podcast on that. But check this out. This is David Goggins in his book, Can't Hurt Me. The most important conversations you'll ever have are the ones you'll have with yourself. You talk to yourself all day long. That voice inside your head, do you want it positive or negative? Gratitude gives you better material in your head. And think about it too. So this is for the dads and moms, okay? The way you talk to yourself is the way your kids will talk to themselves. So if you want to proceed with your negative, pessimistic, unpositive, self-degrading talk, if you want to continue in that, guess what? You're telling your children, you're telling your kids, this is how you should talk to yourself. Instead of another exhausting day, try this. I have people depending on me. And instead of I have to go to work, you can say something like, I have work worth doing. Instead of my life is chaotic, my life is full. I am blessed to have problems other people are praying for. It's not delusional. It's the same circumstances. It's the same facts, just a different way of framing it. Because life's too short, man. Life is way too short. So here's the question then, right? Is gratitude complacency or does it make you complacent? And I think that this is important, because ambitious people like us, we kind of unconsciously resist gratitude because you don't want to not be hungry, right? So here's a thought I've had is, if I become totally satisfied with what I have, will I lose my edge? But I would actually argue the opposite on this. Gratitude is not complacency. Complacency is, I have enough, so I don't need to grow, or I don't need to change. Gratitude is, I recognize what I have while still becoming who I'm capable of becoming. So, like, you can be grateful for your health and continue getting fitter. You can be grateful for your career and pursue greater success. Grateful for your marriage and be a better spouse. Grateful for your finances and still build wealth. Grateful for who you are and refuse to stay there. Gratitude does not kill hunger. It keeps hunger from turning into misery. You know what I mean? Like when you sacrifice everything and you're constantly pushing and grinding and hitting it hard and the alarm goes off at 4 and like that, it's tough, man. Like if you never pick your head up and show gratitude for the things that you get to struggle with, man, that's just hell. That's misery. So there's an interesting connection here. Experimental research found that feelings of gratitude reduced preference for smaller immediate financial rewards in favor of larger delayed rewards. It's essentially greater patience with delayed gratification. This is hugely relevant to success because success usually requires sacrificing, right? Like you sacrifice what I want now for what I want most. So I want you to grab a book. If you don't own it, go order it on Amazon. It is one of the best books I've ever read that helped me get my life on track. It's called Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear. So the next topic I want to touch on here is that gratitude has to become a habit. James Clear writes in his book, Atomic Habits, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You know that's true. How many times have you started a New Year's resolution and it didn't make it the whole year? Surprise, surprise, right? Because you didn't make it into your calendar. You didn't make it a part of your routine, not actually. So this is where you make gratitude practical. Okay? Like everyone is saying, I need to be more grateful. Like you know that, and you say that to other folks. But cool, I need to be more grateful. That's just a goal. What's your system? I've heard it said like this. You will never rise to the level of your inspiration. You will always fall to your habits. That's another way of putting it. The other most popular book on habits is Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit. He teaches this concept. It's an actual system. It's called the cue, routine, reward concept. Cue, routine, reward. So like, here's a good example of a gratitude system. Cue, put your phone on the charger before bed. Here's your routine, the thing you do right after that. Write 3 specific things you're grateful for. And then here's the reward you get to do. This is what you do after the routine. You spend 30 seconds actually remembering and feeling those moments. So like, for example, put your phone on the charger before bed, then write 3 specific things you're grateful for. Spend 30 seconds actually remembering and feeling those moments. So here's another one. Cue, get into your car after work. Routine, name one thing that went well that day before replaying everything that went poorly. Or someone helps you. Here's the routine. Actually tell them what you appreciated instead of merely thinking it. That's when gratitude stops being an idea and starts becoming part of your personality. All right, so let's talk about relationships here because gratitude dramatically affects your relationships, whether it's with coworkers, your boss, your wife, your husband, your kids, your friends. This is a really big deal. And I'll open it with this. It is a quote from Brene Brown. She says, "For It is not joy that makes us grateful, but gratitude that makes us joyful. We tend to become extremely aware of what people aren't doing once we are accustomed to everything they are doing. Think about how dangerous this is, right? Like, let's pretend like we're talking about your spouse. Your spouse does 99 things for you consistently. Eventually, those 99 become normal. Now, what happens when they fail at number 100? Guess which one gets all of your attention? So, there's another book I have on the shelf. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's by Dale Carnegie. Here's the quote. He says, to give honest, sincere appreciation. This word sincere is what matters the most. Not empty compliments, specific appreciation. So, like, here's an example of what it isn't. Thanks for everything. Appreciate you. You're awesome. Instead, it's something like this. Hey, I noticed you cleaned out the car today. You didn't have to do that. And it meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? So you see what I did there? Like you pull something out specific and you give sincere gratitude, right? And research supports the larger idea here, right? Gratitude has been associated with personal and relational growth. And experimental research actually indicates that expressing gratitude can benefit both members of an ongoing relationship. Like we know this, all this stuff. Gratitude has repeatedly been connected to pro-social behavior. We are more inclined to help, cooperate, and give when gratitude is activated here. So here's another question for you. Who in your life has become so reliable that you've accidentally stopped being thankful for them? Who are you taking for granted? When's the last time you said your wife thanks? You know, even for the smallest things. So like something my wife does like really consistently that's coming to mind for me is like, she's typically the one that puts the shoes on the kids. Like when we're getting ready for church and we're about to head out the door, she's always putting the shoes on and brushing their hair. Like week after week after week. And so for me, like, man, I know that I need to demonstrate gratitude more often. So just remind yourself of that question, right? Who in your life has become so reliable that you've accidentally stopped being thankful for them? It's not like you're neglecting the gratitude out of, intention. Like you're not purposefully doing this. So let's hit on this next topic here. Gratitude means making people feel seen. People want to matter. There's 4 books I'm going to name drop here for you to read as homework. The first one is Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. Setting the Table by Danny Meyer. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. And then my personal favorite book I've ever read in my life is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. They're all approaching essentially the same human truth, but just from different angles, that people want to matter. Will Guidara puts it like this. He says, hospitality is a selfish pleasure. It feels great to make other people feel good. Danny Meyer makes a distinction in his book, Setting the Table. Service is the technical delivery, while hospitality is how that delivery makes the recipient feel. That's gratitude turned outward. It isn't merely, I'm thankful for you, but it's, I'm going to behave in a way that communicates that you're valuable to me, that I don't want to lose you, that I don't want you to feel taken for granted. I want you to feel appreciated. And I'm going to work harder in how I demonstrate my gratitude so that you can feel that. going to my favorite book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the habits is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is a huge insight here. Grateful people tend to become more curious about others instead of making every interaction about themselves. And people feel loved when you are curious about them. If you're asking yourself today, like, how can I relate to other people? I'm just an awkward person. Or how am I supposed to connect with, this person? Or be curious. In that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie tells a story of 2 people who sat down to get lunch. And I'm going to butcher the story, but I'm telling it from memory. He tells the story of 2 people sitting down for lunch, and one person simply sat there silent the entire time, while the other person shared kind of their life story. And what's ironic about this is after the conversation ended, the person who got to share their entire life story said, that was one of the most compelling conversations I've ever had in my life. What an interesting person. Let's talk about gratitude in hard seasons, okay? And I really wanted this near the end because, you might be hearing this episode and you're thinking that what I'm saying is think positive and your problems disappear. And that's not what I'm saying at all. Sometimes life genuinely sucks. People die, businesses fail, relationships fracture, you get sick, plans fall apart, you have to cancel the vacation, you have to sell the car, you have to downsize. Gratitude doesn't require you to call suffering good. It's not what it is. It's more, okay, it's something like this. My suffering is real. It's very real. But it does not get exclusive ownership of my attention. You know what I mean? Like, you can grieve and still be grateful. You can be disappointed and grateful, anxious and grateful. You can want something to change and still recognize what has not been taken from you. If you're looking for another source of where you can read on how to find meaning in a world where suffering it's unavoidable, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life touches on this effectively. And I wanted to wrap this up with one other thing here. I wanted to share something out of Philippians. This is chapter 4, verses 6 and 7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Tell God about what you're going through. This is verse 7. Check it out. And the peace of God, the creator of the universe, right? The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. It means something like this. Tell God about what you're going through, and you will find an insane amount of peace that you can't explain. You'll feel it in your heart. Your mind will quiet as well. So I like to end these out with a challenge. It's fun for me. It's helpful because, as I mentioned in the introduction base camp episode to Summit Talk, I am going through this just like you are. I need everything I just said. Like I needed to hear that. And so if this is for no one else, then man, this is for me. So here's our 7-day gratitude challenge. Here we go. For the next 7 days, 3 things every morning or every evening. You got to write them down. Write 3 things down. They've got to be specific. If you write, I'm grateful for my family, that doesn't count. Try something else. Like the way my daughter laughed at breakfast today. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're hunting. Specific things to be grateful for. Here's another thing. Part of the challenge, part of the gratitude challenge. Thank one person every single day, preferably directly. Text them, call them, or especially if you can tell them face to face, that's the best way to do it. I've done this before. If you write a letter and hand it to them in person, it is super meaningful. I have watched relationships explode from that alone. So that's a big one. Here's the third thing to do for the next 7 days. Catch a complaint. Every time you complain, ask yourself, is there another true thing about this situation that I could also be grateful for? Okay. So maybe the big project at work did not go as planned. But what else about this situation is there to be grateful for? Are you still getting paid? Do you still have friendships at work? Does your boss not hate you? Do you still get weekends off? Do you get to be home for dinner after work is over? Is it a short commute? I don't know. Hunt things to be grateful for. Hunt them. All right. So once this week, thank someone you normally take for granted. And this one's going to hurt because you're going to have to first to admit that you've been taking someone for granted. But it's important. So do it. Once this week, thank someone you normally take for granted. And at the end of the 7 days, ask yourself, and be honest here, sit at the edge of your bed and ask yourself this. Did my life change, or did my ability to see my life change? Because here's what's going to happen. It's not going to change your life. It's going to change the lens through which you see your life. So maybe you don't need an entirely different life to experience a better life. You just need to become better at seeing what's already in front of you. So here's my encouragement for you. As we wrap up in this, man, stay hungry. Keep building. Pursue what you're capable of becoming. But don't become so obsessed with the mountain ahead that you never turn around and appreciate how far you've already climbed. Keep it up. You have no idea what you're capable of. Let yourself surprise yourself. If you've ever run a marathon or any long distance race, you know what I'm talking about. You have no idea what you're capable of. Not really. Not really. I appreciate you listening today. This episode of Summit Talk. My name's Ethan Collins, and man, thank you. I'm humbled and honored to get to share this with you guys, and I can't wait for the next episode. Until next time, you deserve to see who you could become.